Hi everyone and welcome to Make It Happen TV. As always, I try and do my best to find interesting, inspiring people for us to talk to so that I can interview them and share their stories with you about how they've come from where they were to where they are. This afternoon I'm joined by a really inspirational guy, so listen on to this. I can tell you what, this guy's got a really interesting story to share with us, and he's going to share with us how he came from nothing to where he is today. Harmeek Singh, the founder, owner of Plan B Group here in Dubai. When did you arrive here, sir?
I was here since 2003.
2003.
I had some stints in 2001, so yeah, I count that as well some years that I was in over here.
So, just so that you're aware of this, okay, this is really interesting. So you came here, you had 2 suitcases full of cash, okay, you had what, $10 million in cash that you came in with, you set a big conglomerate up and you built that business from that big investment that you had, yeah?
I wish.
So what's your story?
Apparently I was born and brought up in India. Now, in that part of the world, we come from an entrepreneur background. We were amongst the few who were making a lot of difference in this field that we were in. So we were amongst the top families over there. My parents, they were both involved in that business. Somehow it had to be that the businesses were not doing so well and we fell off. When we fell off, there were certain things that we had to make some choices, and I did not know anything, and I was very fresh when it came down to coming from my throne to being on the ground thud, where I did not know what to do. So I did not have any direction that probably would be leading me on. I just knew that I had one thing that I bring on the table, selling. So I had thought about where I should be, and I thought that I would try myself in this part of the world.
So okay, so you came over here from Delhi, everything was successful, then it failed. You came over and you thought, right, what am I going to do? Did you, when you got here, did you know? Did you say, right, I'm going to go and work selling X or Y, or was it, I just need to find a job?
Spencer, no, it does not happen like that, because my whole objective was not to explore anything. My objective was, and that was a clear sort of motive, was survival. So survival was a part where when I was back in India, it happens a little differently with the society over there. You are known and you've been wanted when you are at a position, but when you fall down, then there's no one who's holding your hand. And I somehow was not very happy with the situation. I wanted to change it and change the scene, change the setting. So survival was the main objective. So when I came over here, I was not looking at what I would want to do. I was looking at whatever I can get. So it was as simple as that, survive.
So what was that first job?
The first job was not that easy. It was based on a lot of rejections. First and foremost was that I got a diploma in making a CV, because I had never had a CV, and I did not have the opportunity of working under anyone. So that was a new for me. So like everybody does, I came on a visit visa and I had copy pasted certain things where I was working in my own company. So yeah, I was trying, but then again.
So you had an elegant and creative CV.
Yeah, that creativity is since long. And I think that probably there is some creative genes in me which tries to create certain avenues, which also was drafting a CV.
Okay, so this CV's then been drafted, so you feel confident you've now got something to offer to a potential employer?
I don't think that probably I was waiting for people to jump onto me.
No.
I was looking at that point, I was looking at the ever so dependable Gulf News classifieds. So I was just zeroing in on what should I do, and I was looking out for the entry point, because I didn't have any professional degree or anything that I brought on the table which would probably get into a professional field. So sales was something that I was looking in for, because I thought I can sell. So out of the 2 months of the visa that I had, after finishing a month and 10 to 12 interviews, I was being told that I'm not fit for here, because
oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It happens because over here there's certain degrees that they look at. One, what is your UAE experience? Second, if you have a license. If you want to be in sales, you need to have a license as well. So these two things, I was a massive failure and I could not get anywhere. So it was a rejection outright. So I was going for interviews, but I was not getting a call back. So that was breaking me in a lot of forms, that probably, okay, it's about the timing as well, because 2 months are going to be over. I need to go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then what happened? Tell us what happened.
I was still trying, and one of the interviews, I think that was my last interview, but I was been called in for, I was been asked the same questions, and this time somewhere the Singh in me came out, and I was a little bit more aggressive because I thought there's nothing to lose.
Yeah.
So he was like, the question that was asked by the GM of the organization was, so you don't have UAE experience? I said, yeah, if you give me a job, I will have one. You don't have a license, it goes hand in hand. You give me a visa, I'm going to apply for a license. Why should I do that? I said, because somebody did it to you. When you came, you did not have any experience and you got an opportunity, and I think it's your responsibility to pass it on to me.
Okay.
And I thought that I offended him, and I left with just a lot of silence in that room. I left, and 45 minutes down the line, I was called back. That's where it started. So I was been given an opportunity. I was been asked to come back and meet him, and then he told me something that probably I figured out later. In many ways, he liked my aggression, and he told me that you have fire. Don't let it douse. Don't let it go off, because you got some potential.
And so, are you still in that touch with that guy today?
I am in many ways, and I am not literally in contact, but yes, whenever that I meet the owner of the company, I definitely pass on my respects, even though I was hard done when I got an opportunity over there, but I always treat this as a start. And that's
okay, so what is it you sold?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I was called in to a digital printing house,
okay,
where I had to sell printing. Now, the obvious...
What, business cards and stuff like that? Or
not
what?
business cards, that's what large format.
Okay.
What you see on the hoardings outside, what you see on any exhibition stand.
Okay.
So digital printing was something that was picking up at that point, because in 2003, 2002, there was things that probably were requiring of digital prints rather than having small prints. So that company had put up a unit for that. So I was been given an opportunity to sell digital
Did
printing.
you know anything about that?
No.
So, okay, so you got this job selling, you had no idea what the selling printing was about, so you were a complete novice at, not at selling, but a complete novice at the print industry.
Yes, and that only strengthened my belief that a salesman is a salesman. But it was not a walk in the park, because I apparently was chosen over one of the candidates who was supposed to be a part of a group who was there in sales. So I was the villain in over there. So I was not given any support in the initial days as well, and in the 14-15 days that I worked, I was unknown to what it was, but I wanted to learn. So there was a break that was there for, in that old era between 1 and 4, that offices used to shut down and people used to come back after 4 o'clock till 8 o'clock. But I didn't have money to go back anywhere, so I used to work between 1 and 4 as well. So I then figured out what was happening, picking up the pieces, looking at what, and trying to get information based on what I can by my own practical sort of settings that was there. So I picked up some knowledge, and then I understood that probably this is something that needs to be done. I started from the ground zero. I tried looking at the companies around us. I used to walk in the very pleasant weather of May in this part of the world, and I come from a cold place, so I used to have nosebleeds every day. And like that was, I think, reminders to it. But then again, it was only just I was very positive about one thing, that I have to survive. I don't want to go back empty-handed, and I want to survive because I was married at that point and I was expecting my second child. So family, my survival, it all took over, where probably all the pains and the troubles was not something that I was looking for. But unfortunately, because I was doing a lot of things, I was stepping on a lot of people's toes. So I was been shown the door in 20 days time, and I was fired. I got a termination letter, and I was handed over 800 dirhams. That was something that probably for the time that I've worked. And I did not get an opportunity to put my case across, and I was heartbroken because I worked hard. And now it is again ground back to square one, don't know what to do. That day was one day that I was completely broken, shattered, but somewhere I got some sort of a mindset of picking up the phone and speaking to my owner. And I called him and I said, I've been fired for what? You saw fire, it's not gone away. So what happened? And then he said, but I've been told that you don't work. I've been told that, I said, but you did not even ask me about what I have done in the last 20 days, which your people have not done for 2 years. He said, can you come and meet me tomorrow? Next day I went and he saw which places I went, the business cards, my quotations that went out at that point for around 800,000 or $1 million, and that was something probably they have not even thought about, that they can do this kind of a job or not. And then he was like really negative towards the team, and a couple of people were given the stick and were asked to leave because it was politicized. But I had made sure that they come back, and I told them, no, this is not the way, let's all work as a team. So long and short, I was given my position back, and I was given a lot of respect after that as well. And apparently I had to leave. My visit visa was getting expired, and I had an unfortunate incident in my family. My father-in-law had met with an accident. He actually passed away. My wife, who was about to deliver, she went into hospital because of the trauma. So I told him I have to leave, and he was a little skeptic about it, but then again he addressed it. I left, and then I left it that I might get a call from them that they have given me the visa, like normally what happens over here. So whatever I went through, I made sure that I don't pass it on to my people, because I learned it. So when I went back, it took us 4 months. Then I was called back on a visa. I was pretty ecstatic about it, that yes, I'm back. And when you go back from a place where you had said that I'm going to go and I'm not going to come back and I'm going to be working, it was another thing that to face your friends and your people that, oh, you said that you're not going to come back, you're here, back again. So yeah, it was a little negative period for 3-4 months, but the joy was that I had my son born, and I had some good time, that I was with very closely with my very close to my family, because I think when the world shuts you off, it's a time that the family comes together.
Yeah.
So I've seen that period as well. So these are all chapters that I've realized and related to, which makes the person who I am right now. When I came back over here, again, ups and downs, a lot of things where probably I was been promised a package which was cut down to half when I landed over here. And
yeah, all the stuff we've heard along the way.
Yeah, it is. And
let me fast forward and talk about this company that you established. For most people to establish their own company, first of all, we all know that most new companies and small companies fail in a very short period of time. But it also takes a lot of guts, to sacrifice some form of stability, being employed, to then establishing your own business. It takes guts, it takes capital, it's risky for lots of people. Do you think that that was something that phased you along the way, or do you think that you had such an appetite for building your own business that you never even worried about those types of things?
See, I come from an entrepreneur background, so that would never be taken away from my blood. So I was looking towards, one, excelling. Second, when it comes down to when you are settled, your feet are settled, you want to grow from there, you want to go up the ladder. And if it is going to be probably happening where there's a disconnect of your speed and what your growth is, then there's a disconnect over there. So I was not looking at building up my own organization or my own company till I was pushed to do it as well. The first organization that I worked for was not paying my salaries, did not pay my commissions. I resigned from there in 10 months. When I resigned from there in 10 months, then I had to probably just look out where I had a couple of opportunities, because then by this 10 months, I had shown that I was working for 16 hours a day. I built up a lot of new clients and a lot of new service levels. That was something that I thought that probably was unmatched earlier, because the service is what people come back to. It's all about convenience, If I'm going to make you lazy, if I make my client lazy, the client is going to look out for that laziness, because if they have to do certain things again, that's something that probably is going to be my selling feature. That's my USP. So my service levels and my deliveries was always something that I took made it very important for me to probably just be there, up there. For the 10 months when I was working for the organization, I left. I started another job in Media City, because so-called the ban was being levied on me, and I was been asked not to come back for 6 months, but I came in for my free zone visa, and I started working over there. But a very different market welcomed me, because whatever clients that I built up, those clients fell off from the organization, and they started looking out for me where I was, and that service level actually just gave me what I am today. So I started, and I asked very legally. My company in Media City allowed me, because it was media sales, so they allowed me to work freelancing, and that freelancing made sure that I was working 10 to 5 for that organization, and from then onwards till early hours of the morning for my own self. Down the line 6 months, I was pretty much in a secure zone where I was making 200,000 plus dirhams every month, and then it was left with no choice that I can only sail one boat, and then I thanked my company, and I said I have to start my own, and that's where it began. Then Plan B was initiated, and that initiation was based on the work that I was getting. I think it was more towards the kind of efforts that were being put across, and the level of growth that was coming along, that also made sure, with the entrepreneur background that I come from, that I have no other choice. I could have actually easily given up and not being hungry about it. But I was very hungry, because I lost everything, and I wanted to make it back, and I wanted to actually just excel, because where I was.
For the benefit of everybody watching this, tell us what Plan B is as an organisation. What do you do? Because if you go to your website, you encompass quite a few areas.
Yes.
And I'm sure that when people see your name on the bottom of the screen today, okay, and they've seen your company, they're going to go and type it into their search engine going, oh, who's this guy? So what exactly is it the business does?
See, Plan B, like I just mentioned, I learned the traits of digital printing. That's what I learned to do. Then I got into media sales. So I started with digital printing, because that was the clients that came back to me. And then it started with a snowball effect, which was looking at what is it that probably I am doing. And then the business was unfolding into a platform of providing more services. So when I started working on digital printing, there was a unit that I was catering to, or a sector, that was fabrication. Then the fabrication part was something that probably I put into my kitty. And I
hold on, we've got to keep this simple for people. Fabrication of what?
Exhibition stands, event production, whatever that you see on stages and everything else, that was something that probably was, they were my clients. But I had enough bandwidth and enough money to probably start on that. So whatever that you know about, and the department and sectors that we have right now, we have digital printing. That was now it is only a 2% of my business. We have fabrication full-fledged in-house. We started our way into events, which was to do with the corporate sector. We were not into commercial, but then again corporate events. Never been venture into commercial events. We then went into strategy, then we went into marketing, then we went into PR, now we are into digital, now we are into experiential as well. So the connecting the dots was meant to be, and it's a formula, winning formula for me, when it is something that I see there's a gap in the market. When I see that
was it not like an end-to-end solution? It's kind of like you started at one area and you thought the clients needed that, so rather than to outsource it, you thought, hold on a minute, maybe I should do that, so that the client stayed with you?
It is also with the credibility that we built. So a one-stop solution, which I think it's an old feature that people want to look at, a one-stop solution. So I started working towards it. So it's a given. You have a tailor that you go to, and that's giving you a suit. And if he gives you a tie as well, you'll buy from him. So I had done that in a way that it was getting more successful. So avenues was opening up. The clients that we were growing with vertically and horizontally, because we were offering more services, and that's where then the whole objective of Plan B Group came into life. 2007 was the year that probably we started looking at different avenues to come on board. 2008 the market crumbled, and that's where I think I grew the most.
What kind of a boss are you?
I don't think I'm a boss. I'm a leader, and I think I'm a team member. So if you see the table outside, I've got a very open culture. We have a open door policy, and we work as a unit, as a family. And when the kind of traits or kind of stipulation that an organization puts together, I'm completely not that. I've got my own version, and this version works for me because I think as a leader, I infuse that passion what I have. My dream, if it becomes a dream for everybody else, then we all are working towards that. I don't have people who are working 10 to 5. I don't have people who would work only on this time and that time, and I don't give them or corner them that they have to do this. It comes from within. So that's what it makes the organization grow, because we all take pride in, we all take a little piece out of this. So my team is as important as I am. They are as definitely partners, and that's where I have had a very little drop-off rate, where I've had people for the last 10, 12, 14 years, and to give them $1 million dirham, they are not going to go anywhere.
What kind of things inspire you? Where'd you get your inspiration from?
I have been creative because I come from a background where I took over English literature, and I used to write, and that was one passion that drove me into writing a lot of articles, poetry as well. So I like to see that the creativity has been showcased in different formats. So for me, I think the drive is to create something new. The drive is that I see that if we are doing an event, if we're doing a concept, if we're doing a campaign, it needs to be, and it is like a new canvas for us. We put it together in a way that we are all proud of it. It's all bespoke versions of newness that we bring on the table. So the passion drives me, the creativity drives me. My team is something that I get inspired from. So it's the spark, and it's about having no monotony. Makes it more.
For sure.
And every day a challenge is a good one to keep you interested.
You spoke to me earlier on and you said to me that you have entrepreneurialism in your blood. Do you think this is a skill, or do you think this is something in the genes?
I think it's something that that happens with your surroundings, because I saw my at that point, and I'm talking from the perspective of India as a region, so conservative land. I saw in 80s my mother working, and that made sure that probably as a child I was introduced to what entrepreneurship is all about, what business is all about, and from a childhood there was things that probably you pick up from your parents. So I think that's something that I'm talking about. On the genes part, I don't think that anything that you're built in with, it happens with what you have been introduced to and the way that you're introduced to, and then it definitely also depends on what you want to do. Right now, earlier, the only thing that we used to learn from was from the books that were as a curriculum for us. Things have changed now. It's all about practical knowledge. It's all about what you want to, or what your traits are. If my son wants to probably follow certain area or a sector, that's something that probably we would allow him to do earlier.
Okay, so let's take that stereotype then. That, you know, I'm 48 years old and I've grown up knowing that if you're from an Indian family, and my Indian friends, mum wanted you to be and dad wanted you to be a doctor, an engineer, a scientist, a lawyer, all of these typical types of professions. Obviously, as an Indian yourself, when you were young, is that what your parents wanted of you?
I was fortunate to have parents who were very open and who were also educated. That's the time when the stereotype was broken, when my mother was working as well. So it was not something that was a normal scenario. If a woman has been asked to probably manage a team of 400 people, or having something which probably she was back-ending my father on the business that we had. So I think they were open towards the breaking the norms. It was not something, it was all about being educated about it. So yeah, stereotypes were available. I used to see around me and everywhere where people wanted to actually just be a doctor, a scientist or whatever, but then again...
Well, you consider it, if you really consider it and think about the population of India and every parent wanting that of their kids, we would have way too many lawyers and way too many doctors around if everybody had to follow that.
See, that's where when you have a big population and then less education, then it happens is that there's a lot of followers, then a lot less leaders. But yes, now if you look at it, for the last, India has been growing as a superpower, grown into a position where we are rubbing shoulders with anybody in the world right now. And the negative of being the second largest population in the world has been turned into a positive now, like China has done as well. So I think it is to do with education. It's to do with that finding the openness in a society, which is happening, and it changes into phases.
Yeah.
So India has been phased out with 70 plus years of independence, is based on that, the education part, and becoming a IT power in the world, becoming the outsourced capital of the world, was something that I think it has been a tremendous turnaround, and things are changing now.
When you look at the things that are the people out there that you think to yourself, I want to be like you one day, and I want to achieve. Did you ever have? I'll give you an example. When I was a kid at school, I was bullied. All right, and that bullying that took place when I was a kid at school, even to this day, at the age of 48, drives me. It inspires me. It drives me for a reason, that is to prove people wrong. People that, for what, I don't even know where they exist in the world. I don't even know where these people live anymore. But I'm driven by proving people wrong, and I've proved them wrong many times over. But it still doesn't take away that taste that I have in my mouth, that desire to do that. Maybe not the same for you, but when you think about what you're trying to achieve, where are you going, and who do you gauge yourself against?
See, what started as survival, when it was a beginning in this part of the world, it then also had, it's no different for me as well. I wanted to actually have the rejection being erased off me. I was being written off, I was being told I'm a misfit, I was been, and it's not something which is unknown, and not many people talk about it, but I was probably a recipient of racism as well, been given to me on a platter. But then again, I had the guts to stand up for that, and I walked away from a lot of places, and I stood my ground, and I was very arrogant about and very aggressive about the things that I'm going to stand up for myself. Nobody else is going to be. So it does still a lot of times there's certain things that probably in your subconscious mind, I always have that I'm not trying to prove anybody wrong, but then again I'm trying to prove myself right, that I can. So putting that little platter or that gauge for my own self, can I do this as well, and I need to do this as well. So where are we going with this is something, you know, when you start something which started as a survival, and then you suddenly realize that you're rubbing shoulders with the best in the field, you're actually been taken up, then I also take responsibility for a lot of people who have been rejected, a lot of people that I represent as they see me, and I've got, with all due respect, I've got a lot of followers who actually see from my community, from India, from a lot of sectors that probably, and I'm not being racist over here, but then again, there's a lot of people who actually see that we can do this as well. So I feel very responsible right now. I feel very responsible towards one, the brand. I feel very responsible towards the people who have been with me, my team who has been with me for so many years. So suddenly I actually just make this my own dream is not something that is correct. So our objective is that what we have done now, we've all been in this thick and thin, and we have looked in that the brand evolves into another level. We're going to be a global player. That's what we want to do. We want to be a brand that everybody, not in UAE, not in Middle East, but everyone knows that what Plan B is all about, apart from what Plan B is in US.
It's great talking to people that have got this desire within them to keep wanting to grow, but also to remain or remain humble like you do. I don't sense any form of ego with you.
I think
is there ego in there somewhere?
I think ego is one thing that gets you disconnected from ground reality. And when you do that, that's where I feel that you're like a balloon who's been cut off from the ground. So you're floating in the air. And I personally would like to be somehow my feet on the ground, because I firmly believe that anything that probably happens, things can change and situations can change, but people should not. And when you do that, if I'm firmly footed on the ground, if I fall down, I'm still on the ground. So I am in a good balance right now. So I know what is happening on the ground. I still have the pleasure of sitting down with my tea boy as well and having a tea, and I enjoy that because there's no disconnect over here. There's suddenly not that fashion thing that does come to me. Oh, don't come near me, don't have this, I'm only going to wear this, I'm only going to do this. No, I'm as natural as it is. So you've come today and you see how I'm dressed as well. So it is being natural, you know.
Can you believe he dressed like this for us today? Usually when anybody else comes to interview him, he dresses up really nicely in his fancy clothes, but today, jeans.
It's not, but then again, I knew that you're going to make it happen, right?
And maybe you can see when I talk to people like Harmeek about their journey, their story, and the fact that it's not that difficult. If you put your mind to it and you train yourself and you coach yourself, you can achieve things much greater than you're achieving right now. If you want to learn more about Harmeek's story, then by all means let us know. Ask any question that you'd like. We'll put his link below, and I'll be sure to promise to get them off any question you've got off to Harmeek, and hopefully I'll answer those for you as well. Whatever you do today, make sure you do what this guy does. And thank you so much, Harmeek, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Get out there and come on and make it happen. We'll see you soon.